You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. The following podcast contains spoilers and rude words. We watch the thing. We watch the thing. With me, wham, wham, wazzle, and welcome back to We Watch the Thing with Billy and Dave. That's right, the catchphrase is back. Dave is happy about it, I can tell. And how you doing, mate, on this fine, cold evening?
I am good. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I've got the world's biggest rum and coke, so I'm ready to go. Well, actually, I tell a lie. I have a confession to make. I'm not at all ready to go. We discussed doing a bit of a wrap up of TV. You know, the boys.
You said what your announcement was going to be a surprise. This is not a surprise in the slightest.
I've watched no TV, but instead I thought we could do something fun. I thought that while you hit us up with what's out now, like, you know, all of the new stuff you've been watching, The Boys, House of the Dragon is back, all that stuff. I am going to count down my top 5 most rewatched TV shows of all time, because that's all I do. I very rarely these days do I watch a new show. You know me. I'm watching Friends and Property Brothers on a fucking loop if it's not the Game Show Network. So,
you spoilt my game. I was about to write down what I thought the 5 were and then hold it up like a magician at the end. This was sealed in an envelope. Friends, Property Brothers.
Property Brothers, Game Show Network are not there. So, but all right. Why don't you hit us up with something new that you've been watching, or, you know, give us your new TV show news, and then I'll rip in with some of my most rewatched shows.
All right. So what I've got a handful of things that are kind of watching at the moment that have either new or just come back, which I'm not going to call out any bad shit. I'm just going to say stuff that I'm recommending.
Yeah.
And then I've got a handful of things from earlier this year that people may have missed, and at the end I've got a couple of shout outs of things that are about to hit. So
nice.
Most exciting at the moment back on our TVs, Evil.
That's
what
TV
at the moment.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Starting strong.
So is this season 6?
4?
Oh, okay.
I think we're on at the moment. There's no excuses that you haven't started this yet. Oh, wait, no, you did.
I did
you
start
watch
it.
some?
I
gave it to us for required viewing. And you said it's fantastic. I'll definitely keep watching.
I really liked it, Dave. It's a really good show.
This is definitely confirmed as the final season. And
can you feel that so far? Like, how many episodes?
It's I think about 4 in, I think.
Yeah, and it's winding up already.
It's not winding up, but it's from the very first episode of this season. It's taken some stuff that happened at the end of the last season, and it's laying the seeds, and it has given itself a kind of a timeline.
Yeah,
There's been things dropped within the story that put a time frame on everything that's happening this season. So you've still got your Monster of the Week episodes, but there's an undercurrent that is building, and we know what it's building to because they've kind of told us what the end game is. Yeah, so it's really, really, as all the previous seasons have been, it's really well scripted. It's such a fantastic show.
Yeah.
Highest recommend.
Are all of the cast from the 5 episodes that I watched still there at this point?
Yeah, you've got your same main 3.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
And the peripheral character, Michael Emerson's still kind of in the background as the big bad, I guess, not counting all the demons and shit. Christine Lardy's still there. The Kristen's daughters are all still there. Her husband's still there. There's not been a single person who's either entered or left the core cast, which is really nice over something, a multi-season show.
Yeah. All right. Well, the reason I haven't got around to watching Evil is because I'm always rewatching shows. So my 5th most rewatched TV show of all time is Smallville. I love Smallville so much. Have you watched Smallville, Dave?
I could count on one hand the number of episodes. Not because I didn't like it. It's not to the same extent, but I put it in the same bucket as I put Supernatural. I know I will like it, but there's so fucking much, and there's so much new shit coming.
Yeah.
It's like I tried to do Supernatural.
Yeah.
And I got about 2 or
Yeah.
3 seasons in, and then realised there were 15 years of the thing
Yes.
still to go.
So
and I just went,
Smallville got to 10, and at the time it got to 10, it was the longest continuous running sci-fi show of all time. Obviously, Doctor Who has that beat, but it's had breaks and stuff in between. So in terms of continuously running, at the time
it did
got
more
to
than
season
10 years.
10.
Oh, but it wasn't on air still at that point.
That's right,
It's
yes.
It's certainly more than 10 years in the initial run, but...
Yeah. So at the time it got to season 10, yeah, it was the and honestly, Smallville it's the best adaptation of the Superman story. Tom Welling is an incredible Superman. There will never be a better Lex Luthor than Michael Rosenbaum.
I love Rosie.
Oh,
yeah.
Rosenbaum is incredible. He's so great in the show. John Glover as his dad, who's even more of a big bad Luthor. That like the things that the show created that weren't already part of the Superman mythos. And I love Superman, but like for example, Alison Mack as Chloe. Now, obviously, it's a bit hard to talk about that these days. She's all, sex culty branding people and stuff. But she was fucking wonderful in this show. I've rewatched it start to finish at least 3 times.
Wow.
There are shows that I've watched more times than this, but given what a commitment this is, like you said, that's why it's here at number 5 on my list. So,
yeah.
All right, so back to you then.
John Glover. I won't do rewatches, but as you know, I've just started out on a show from some years ago, which got entered my radar, and you helped me locate Brimstone, which has John Glover playing the devil.
Oh, I need to watch that.
I'm only a couple of eps in. It's very 90s.
Yes.
But
is he as good
quality.
Is he as good as Ray Wise playing the devil in Reaper?
No.
Because Ray Wise in Reaper is the best iteration of the devil. If you
like Reaper, it's really interesting because they're essentially the same premise.
Okay. All right.
It's, Peter Horton, I'm just throwing in an old show now, but I'm watching it for the first time, so it counts. No one will be able to find it though, so it's not a recommend. Yeah, but go read up on it on IMDb and wish you could watch it.
Well, tell us something new.
Peter Horton plays is a cop who is the most decorated cop in New York or something. His wife gets raped. He catches the guy, but he gets let off on a technicality or some shit. So he just goes and fucking kills him.
Yeah, right.
And then, unfortunately, shortly thereafter, he gets killed, shot in the face and killed by just some random criminal. And because he's murdered this guy, irrespective of all the rest of his life, he goes to hell.
Right.
And 15 years later, 113 of the worst souls ever to be in hell all escape.
Yeah, right.
And
that is
John
a lot
Glover
like
the
Reaper.
devil, says, if you go and catch all of them and bring them back, because I can't have people knowing that shit escapes, then you'll get to return to Earth and have another crack at it.
Oh, I've got
so
to check
very
that
similar
out.
to Reaper,
Yeah,
but not a comedy. It's like a 90s supernatural thriller thing, a bit like Constantine.
Well, why don't you tell us something else new that we should be watching?
Next new thing. I'm going to skip Acolyte because it's not good.
Okay.
And I will throw up a recommendation for Renegade Nell.
I have not heard of
which
this.
is on Disney Plus. It is a period action comedy, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slightly more adult version of the shtick that the Horrible Histories guys do.
Yeah.
If you saw the movie version of that. So it's a little bit anachronistic. The main character is Nell, who's this kind of adult, but she's very tomboyish woman, absolutely not a woman in the way Jane Austen society would have her be. And you're set in that sort of era. And through various plot machinations, she ends up becoming a sort of a highwayman type.
Yeah.
Trying to avenge the death of her father. There's a lot of supernatural shit. This sort of little fairy pixie guy who's played by who's the shit heel in Ted Lasso? The one that's the assistant coach and then goes off and becomes an absolute asshole.
Speaking of never watching new shows, I only watched the first episode of Ted Lasso.
You're just embarrassing yourself. But he plays the little pixie guy, and he sort of bonds with her and sort of jumps into her body, and then she's got superpowers and can fucking kick ass and dodge bullets and all that sort of shit. It's just a pile of fun. It's really funny. She's got this a really nice acerbic wit, but it's also quite dark.
Yeah.
People die. The forces at work against her are evil supernatural shit. And yeah, pleasant surprise for something on the Disney Plus, not the Disney Channel, but on a Disney series. It is British, but I think must have been funded by the House of Mouse. But yeah, a lot of fun. Nice. Highly recommended. Yeah. Renegade Now. There's only like 8 or 10 episodes.
I mean, I would say that I'll put it to my list, but I think at this point, I'd be lying.
Putting something on your list is a meaningless statement. Don't insult the listeners.
Because I'm too busy, Dave. I'm too busy because, look, everyone in the world knows how often I rewatch Friends, right? But that's not the only sitcom that I'm busy rewatching.
You're allowed to do that because it's a show.
Now, you might think that I would have, like, Seinfeld here. I love Seinfeld. I haven't rewatched it as much as my next choice, which is Just Shoot Me. I love Just Shoot Me. Look, I know that's naff. I know that you're not supposed to like sitcoms.
It was a fine comedy. I enjoyed it.
I'm a huge David Spade fan. I'm a huge fan of I think the entire ensemble cast. Is
Wendy Malick in that one as well.
Yes, she is. Yes, she's Nina in the canteen.
Oh, no, that's why. Fucking Enrico from
Veronica Mars, who I absolutely love. He's fantastic as Elliot the photographer. Honestly, I love the entire ensemble cast of this show. I find it so funny. And even in the later seasons, Rena Sofer comes in as a lead, who at the time was the prettiest woman on television. Yeah. Those eyes, man, they are just like...
all the way up until they put her in a wheelchair in Heroes. Just beautiful woman.
I honestly couldn't tell you how many times I've rewatched Just Shoot Me. This is another one of those shows like Friends, like The Office, which I haven't included in my list because everyone in the world has already seen it. Where I can just hit shuffle and watch any random episode and I'll have a good time. So,
who's the dad in that?
Seagal.
It's George Segal.
George Segal. Yeah.
And fucking who's the main? I've got a blank. I can't even picture her.
I find her strangely attractive, even though she's not conventionally attractive. Hang on.
Mental blank. That's embarrassing.
Hang on. Oh, Laura San Giacomo.
Oh, San Giacomo. Yeah.
Who, of course, is also in the miniseries of The Stand. I love her from that as well.
The worst thing in that, by far.
She honestly is.
Overacting, terrible wig, everything about her in that.
She honestly is the worst thing about that adaptation, yeah. But I'm still a big fan, yeah. So there you go. All right, back to you for something new.
Alrighty. All right, this is a cautious recommend. I've only watched, I think, 3 episodes.
Okay.
It's a new sci-fi called Dark Matter.
Okay. Again, one that I haven't even heard of.
Big budget. Main character is, what's his name? Edgerton?
Joel Edgerton.
Yes.
I really like Joel Edgerton. I like him a lot.
Jennifer Connelly playing his wife.
Holy shit. I rewatched Requiem for a Dream the other day. Speaking of Jennifer Connelly, like it's a hard movie. Like I think I'm probably one of the only people in the world who's ever said they've rewatched it.
Yep.
But God, she's amazing in that film.
Yeah, it's the basic premise is he's a physics professor who had started out as an actual physicist and sort of ended up in teaching so that he was spending more time at home with his wife. And so there's some tensions there where he sort of resents the fact that he's got this boring life. He's no longer the guy she was in love with because he's not this dynamic superstar scientist guy. So their marriage is a little bit shaky. And then I don't want to get too spoilery, but the trailer kind of covers much of this. He ends up getting kidnapped by someone and wakes up in a different world. You kind of, for a while, get kind of Nowhere Man vibes because he no longer has his wife. He's in this parallel world where he doesn't know people, etc. Or he knows people, but no one is the same.
Yeah.
And then you find out that he, in an alternate reality, stayed a scientist and invented this machine that enables you to travel between, through the sort of multiverse and into parallel realities because the other Joel Edgerton, gave up on his relationship with Jennifer Connelly and never had that marriage, and his life is empty. So he is essentially swapping lives with a version of himself that has them.
Oh man, that honestly sounds so sick. But so this is a cautious recommend. Is the entire season out now, or?
I think so. Let me just check. I know there's episodes and episodes more than I. No, it is still going. So episode 8 has dropped last week. Episode 9 drops tomorrow, US time, so probably the day after for us. But so far it's very solid, as you would expect with that. Alice Braga is the other main character in it, as you would expect with that caliber, and it's a Apple Plus production, so it looks really schmick. There's a lot of money behind it. The production values are already high. It's another hit for them as far as I'm concerned, on par with Severance.
Oh, I mean, look, I really liked the first couple of episodes of Severance. I would like to say I'd add this to the list, but I haven't even got around to watching Monarch yet, which is a show that's basically made for me.
Monarch's. Look, I was going to mention Monarch. I'll just cut to the chase. I was really enjoying that until you got to the last episode when they tie it into that bullshit universe with all of the crap fake science and magic and portals and other shit, and it went straight down the fucking gurgler in the last episode.
All right.
So I probably won't even watch another season of that if they make one, which, considering I was loving it up till that point, is quite disappointing.
Yeah. Well, my number 3 most watched TV show of all time, again, I don't think it'll come as a surprise to most people. We're back to sitcom territory again. It is the most recent show on my list, and it's Scrubs. I absolutely loved Scrubs. I watched it its entire run on the air, and I've rewatched it probably 4 or 5 times since. I love this show. It's so comforting to me. You know, like, Bill Lawrence obviously has done a lot of great work. Most people would go to Ted Lasso. This, to me, is his magnum opus.
There is no down note in his career, and I've watched the ones that no one's watched, like Ground Floor, and
I watched that as well purely because I liked this.
Tell you what, Brigga Heeland in that. Oh, one of the most beautiful women in existence, and married to nerdy Asian guy in that show. But I'm one of the people that thinks Cougar Town is almost as good as Scrubs. I think Cougar Town is a hugely underrated show.
Scrubs is just incredible. The ensemble cast is so good. John C. McGinley is honestly a treasure. And in this show, he has so much range. He's so funny, but he is so heartbreaking. And that's what this show does better than anything else that's ever been on TV. The way that it blends the humor with those really hard, dramatic story beats, often in the same episodes, is just insane.
Some of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen.
Yeah, honestly.
The Brendan Fraser episode.
Oh, yeah.
It comes to mind. The writing of that episode is truly phenomenal.
It is.
Phenomenal.
And the soundtrack to this show is so good, which Zach Braff did a lot of work on. He's responsible for a lot of how good the soundtrack is.
Yeah, it's definitely his taste. You can tell from Garden State, his taste of 100%. Is you've got and I think he picked up a lot of his taste from Bill Lawrence, because I know from interviews with Bill Lawrence.
And from Krista, I believe, as well. Krista Miller is a big...
His wife, so like Colin Hay, for example, I know is a big favourite of Bill Lawrence and Colin Hay.
I love Colin Hay. In fact, I was going to say to you, Colin Hay is playing... The Sydney show is sold out on the 6th of July, but he's playing the next night in Newcastle, and I'm thinking of making the drive for it if you wanted to come.
Wow, it's probably the last opportunity to see
That's
him.
What I'm thinking. Yeah, because he's unfortunately he's not doing a big tour. He's only doing like 3 or 4 places in Oz.
I didn't know he was still playing, to be honest.
Yeah,
he's
big fan of him. The Shins, obviously, Zach Braff, and Scrubs introduced to a lot of the world. The Polyphonic Spree, Old 97s, who I've given you several albums of on Perfect Albums. So yeah, big fan of Scrubs. Could rewatch it endlessly.
I've just started it. Leah's decided she's a fan, so in between taking them through the entire run of New Who, which we're almost finished. We're almost up to Jodie Whittaker, which we're going to skip because the writing's so shit. and now we've started on Scrubs and a few other things.
Nice.
So alrighty, all right. This one's another cautious recommend, and I'm behind the 8 ball on this. I think most people have probably finished it, but 3 Body Problem.
Okay, yeah, I heard a lot about this, but
I've only watched the first episode, and then for some reason it completely popped out of my brain, and I need to get. It only just occurred to me when I was thinking about this episode that holy shit, I never went back to that. You know what a massive fan of Lindelof I am.
Yeah. I love Lindelof too.
I love super thinky, highbrow sci-fi stuff. Everything about this spoke to me. The first episode I thought was amazing. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Most people are probably going, yeah, we've all finished it months ago. But really, really fucking good.
Okay, yeah, sweet. Again, I'd love to say I'll add it to my list because I've heard a lot about it and it does sound right up my alley. And I really will try to get to it at some point. I'll try to get to all of these shows. Like even, I know that you're going to talk about it at some point. The Boys, I think, is one of the best TV shows of the last 5 years, and I have not even started this season yet. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it so far. But before we get there, my number 2 most rewatched show of all time, hands down, with a bullet, The X-Files. This show is incredible. You're an X-Files fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with it as you, but I don't think many people are. I think I probably have seen. I would have watched every episode up until Robert Patrick entered the picture.
Oh man, he's great. You mean Doggett?
I'm not knocking. I didn't stop watching because of him.
Yeah,
I can't recall many episodes with him in them.
I get mocked all the time, especially from Topher, ex-coach of the show, and Sam from Movie Reviews and 20 Qs. Anytime I see him in something, I go, oh, it's Agent Doggett. And they're always like, you mean the T-1000, right? I'm like, okay, well, that's where you go to. I go to Doggett because that's what I'm most familiar with him.
It's that dude from Scorpio.
He's, but no, man, X-Files from start to finish is so good. What I love about it so much is that it is one of those shows where if you want, and I have a playlist set up of just the mythology episodes so I can go through and watch, all the Smoking Man ones and all the deep story. But then I have
just to follow the overarching plot rather than the Monster of the Week stuff?
Because, well, you just brought up the Monster of the Week. Each season will maybe only have like 5 episodes that actually follow the story thread, and every other episode is completely unrelated. Monster of the Week doesn't develop the plot.
Was one of the earliest that kind of followed that model. I think Chris Carter kind of made the mold that almost everything since is Buffy, everything has followed that.
Oh well, Buffy,
that same model.
If this was a top 10, Buffy's probably like my number 6. I've rewatched Buffy and Angel a lot.
Fuck, I've tried to get all 3 kids into Buffy, and they just won't.
It's the best.
I don't know if it's the teen speak is too dated or something. They just won't latch onto it. Everything else I put in front of them.
But as well as having the, overarching mythology, there are so many good Monster of the Week episodes. Like, if I'm ever feeling, like, really flat, I say to Denise, can we just get dumplings and watch Arcadia, which is one of my favorite episodes, or like Bad Blood.
Which is Arcadia?
Arcadia is the one where they pretend to be a married couple. They have to. There's a giant shit monster, literally this monster made of shit, and it's attacking this kind of. What do you call it? Like these little gated communities where they have all these. There's like a homebody association. They have all these rules, and anyone who breaks the rules, like Mulder tries to put a basketball hoop in his driveway, but it has to be packed up before sunset because it's out of place. And anything like that.
Familiar.
There's this giant shit monster that comes out and kills people. It's so much fun. So they have to pretend to be this married couple.
You mentioned Bad Blood.
Bad Blood is one of the best episodes of all time.
I mentioned previously. I've got this sort of mental list of the greatest episodes of TV of all time. Yeah. And you've got your Ozymandias and you've got your the Brendan Fraser one in Scrubs. Yeah. Bad Blood is in there. It's the other than Tombs, it's the only X-Files episode that I can literally recall every plot beat, the entire thing, even from 30 whatever years ago.
Tombs is amazing. Pusher is a fantastic episode, but Bad Blood, the way that it cuts between their two different retellings.
The whole Rashomon.
And
is it Arquette who's the sheriff?
No, it's Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson. Yes. Basically the same person.
But even the way Mulder is different, like in Scully's version, he's so over the top. He's like, hope you brought your cowboy boots. Yeehaw! And then in his version, he's like, I hope you brought your cowboy boots.
Mulder comes in, he walks in here, and just
Yeah.
away cuts to the present with
Yeah.
with Scully going, he did not.
Yes, it's so good. So there you go. Number 2 for me, With a Bullet, X-Files. I love that show. So hit us up with something else new.
Alrighty, what else am I going to recommend here? All right, I think I've already... No. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give a shout out to one of the best new shows I've watched this year, I reckon, which is Artful Dodger.
Oh, okay. Is this a Dickens?
It is. It follows the story of the Artful Dodger, Jack Hawkins, after he has been kind of caught for some sort of thievery or whatever.
He's still a kid, though, right?
No. Played by an adult Thomas Brodie Sangster.
Okay.
Who, from many things like Maze Runner, but he was Liam Neeson's kid in Love Actually.
Yeah.
He plays an adult Dodger in Sydney because he's been transported.
Oh, right. Convict.
For his crimes.
Okay.
Sent out. I don't think he's sent as a convict. I think he kind of hitches his way along to get away from all of the trouble.
Yeah, right.
But has gone through training as a surgeon and is operating as an apprentice surgeon.
What a wild fucking Sydney. Premise this is.
And Fagin turns up, having been transported, played by David Thewlis, and it's all... Dodger has kind of set himself up in a respectable position. No one knows about his past. He is an apprentice surgeon. He's got a nice standing. He's not particularly wealthy because he's not the head surgeon, but he is respected and he's got this position. And then Fagin turns up and has the potential to pull it all asunder because he knows his past. And there's a romantic subplot with the daughter of the governor, and it's so much fun. It's funny. It's the acting is just off the chain. The cast is amazing.
Yeah,
it looks fantastic. I love this. I
honestly
seriously
sounds sick.
Hope there is going to be a season 2.
So is it like a co-production between the BBC and Oz, or?
No, I don't. Let me just check where it was. I think it's a Netflix thing.
Okay. But honestly, this sounds really cool. Like, I wish I had more time because I genuinely would watch this.
So, no, the creators haven't done anything that I've seen before.
Okay.
It's a Hulu thing.
Okay, right.
But James McNamara, your name's familiar. What have you done? Are you? I mean, it's set in Australia. Most of the supporting cast are all Australians.
Yeah.
I think it's at least a co-production with Australia.
Yeah. That sounds super cool.
You would love it. It's this is one that I would recommend unreservedly to everyone.
Yeah, nice.
No one would not love this show.
Nice.
It's really good.
I feel the same way about my most rewatched show of all time, which so I'm not going to talk about this for long because this is coming as friends. Of course it is. Like there's a reason that Noosk and I are now doing a podcast on this because it is literally playing in our house all the time anyway. Like I told you, the reason I haven't had time to do anything this week is we've just been so busy. We've just bought the small business, the dance school, and we've just been... So from next Monday, we own that. So we've been setting up bank accounts and phone numbers and internet, like all this stuff that you have to do.
That's so exciting.
And it is, but it's busy. And also, as well as that, she's gearing up to put on a production of Nutcracker for Christmas in July. So I've been helping out with bloody fucking sewing on ribbons to costumes and shit. But we have just had friends playing on a loop. Like, we are, as far as the podcast goes, we're still in season 1. We just finished season 6 last night. So we're going to have to go back and rewatch season 2 again to record in a couple of weeks' time. But
you missed my friend. I worked a Friends joke in while you were talking about Friends.
It was a good Chandler reference. But honestly, I've seen this show. I could not tell you how many times. It's probably in the vicinity of 45 times. Like, there's lots of shows that I've rewatched a lot. The Office could have made this list. Like I said, Buffy could have made this list. But I had to be honest, and there's no other answer but Friends at number one because it's just, it's so comforting to me. So, all right.
I've told you that I listened to the episodes and I beat both of you in the Friends trivia. Just saying.
All right, why don't you hit us up with something else new?
What else is there? All right, I mean, just quickly, the Boys.
Okay,
season 4, still on a high, still great.
Good. That's good.
That's
all I want to know.
Altered. I liked Gen V, the spin-off show last year.
I haven't watched it yet.
A lot of people kind of went, "Oh, it's not as good as The Boys," and to be fair, it probably wasn't, but it was. Without that association, it was still one of the better shows of the year.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, it's still great.
Yeah,
still enjoying it. Waiting for every episode. But what's something people might not have got to? I've mentioned Dead Boy Detectives on the show before. Very good. While we wait for Sandman. All right. Technically a rewatch because it was from very late last year, but it's so good I'm rewatching it, and that's Obliterated.
Oh, hang on. So I didn't see. I think I heard about this maybe on the Countdown's top 10.
I recommended it to Wayne, as I think a few people did.
Is this the one where? Correct me if I'm wrong. Are they drunk or something the whole time? Like,
so it's an elite special forces team.
Yes.
And the wonderful Shelley Hennig.
They're out at a party or something when they get a call.
Shelley Hennig, you would know because she was a prominent part of the latter few seasons of Teen Wolf, which I know you're a fan of.
Well, no, I'm not a teenage girl, Dave.
But no, so the elite special forces, and they think they've stopped a nuclear bomb that was in the wrong hands. They think they've recovered that and all is good. And so they go on a bit of a bender to celebrate.
Yes.
And by a bit of a bender, I mean it makes Bachelor Party look like a nun's conference. They go fucking mental, taking everything under the sun. They're drunk, they're stoned, they're high, they're everything. And then they get a call at like the crack of dawn the next morning saying, no, there was a second bomb. You need to get back in the field. And they are fucked.
Honestly, the premise it sounds really good. It sounds really cool.
So funny. The mix of characters is fantastic. You've got C. Thomas Howell, who, by God, he has aged worse than anyone on the planet. He looks like Keith Richards. He's the bomb specialist, and he's got like 3 fingers from constantly being blown up.
Nice.
It is hilarious from start to finish. The action scenes are great. I had more fun with that show than probably anything last year, so I went, fuck it, I'm rewatching it. There's only 8 episodes, so you can blitz through it. It's on Netflix. Everyone's got Netflix. Obliterated. If you go through Obliterated and you don't think it's a whole bunch of fun, there's something wrong with you.
Nice. Again, I'd love to say I'll add it to my list, and I will.
8 episodes.
Try to.
Come on.
I'll try to. I think this was a fun idea. This was something fun. I might label this episode, TV Roundup Old versus New or something like that.
And just quickly, for people who are up to date on everything else and are already ripping through House of the Dragon season 2 and everything else, we've got new season of Snowpiercer next month.
Right.
We've got new season of Umbrella Academy at the start of August. We've got new season of Only Murders in the Building in August.
Oh shit! Yes.
We've still got season 2 of Severance coming this year. There's season 3 of Lincoln Lawyer coming. We've got season 2 of Silo coming. We've got season 2 of Sandman coming. Season 5 of Stranger Things. Season 2 of Percy Jackson.
Are we getting Stranger Things this year? I thought we weren't getting that till next year now.
I don't think they've announced it. My assumption is it's going to be towards the end of this year.
Right.
God knows they've had long enough to make the fucker, even though Millie Bobby Brown keeps going off to do Enola Brown and that kick-ass dragon thing on Netflix. But there is so much good shit coming on TV in the next 6 months. It's crazy.
Maybe we'll do more TV eps in the future. But next week we're back to the cinemas because you know what's finally coming out next week?
I don't know. Is it something good?
It is. Well, hopefully, Quiet Place Day One we finally get next week, which both you and I are quite keen. Like, I'm kind of cautiously keen. Like, I love the first two. This obviously is not Krasinski. But fingers crossed.
No, but we saw from his most recent directorial outing that he's not the only magic source in Quiet Place.
100%. Yes. So I'm really keen for that. So that's next week. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at pottymouthradio.com or pottymouthradio@gmail.com. Please go check out all the rest of the shows on the Pottymouth Network. If you want to hear me gush more about Friends, you can do that at the one where we watched. Obviously, Time to Die is a heap of fun where we're playing D&D.
God, I'm loving that.
Hunt for the Perfect Album, movie reviews and 20 Qs.
Started an old school tabletop game with the kids on the weekend.
Oh, nice. I'd love to do that, but I have no one to DM for me, and it seems way too hard. Thank God we have Drew.
I did it. They're kids. They don't know any better. Yeah. They just like the fact I'm spending time with them.
Yeah, nice. All right, so that's it. Go check out the rest of the shows, and we'll catch you next week with A Quiet Place Day One.
And we love you all.
Love all of you.